Is Bitcoin about to crash? With Bitcoin up over 70% year to date, everyone has once again become bullish. However, everything isn't butterflies and rainbows as we currently face multiple obstacles in order to break above $30,000. In today's video, I show you 3 bullish scenarios and 3 bearish scenarios that we can see play out very soon. So grab a cup of coffee or maybe something stronger and let's dive right in. First, let's look over the Q1 close. As you guys can see, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 since 2013. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 times it's had very good quarters to start the year off. We ended up the quarter up 70% for the first quarter, and it's the 3rd best start to the year since 2013. While I was looking at this, then I also started thinking, anytime that it's had this type of start, how has Bitcoin performed after that? And these are a couple things that I found. So 100% of the time that Bitcoin begins in the green, it ends in the green overall for the year. Going back further in 2013, you can go back to like 2010. I think you can see charts from there. Since 2010, we've had a green start 7 times. 6 out of the 7 times, Bitcoin's price ended the year even higher than the first quarter. So the only time that it did not end the year higher was actually recently in 2021. So in 2021 was the only year in Bitcoin's entire history where it didn't close the year higher than the first quarter. Every other time in its history, we've closed higher than the first quarter. The yearly average return for Bitcoin has been 1,408% if we go all the way back to 2012. Again, I don't like to go back that far because if we look at those numbers are, look at this, 5,000%, 500%, like those numbers are insane. I think at this point in time, I only like to go back to 2017 for that type of historical data that includes, you know, the average return of something, how much it went up. So if we just go back to 2017, then the average yearly return is 494%, right? So that's a little bit more realistic on what we might be able to get in 2023. Not saying that we're gonna go up 494%, but just to give you an average. One thing to note on all of these years, 2 out of the 4 times, right? We got 4 years here from 2013 until now where the first quarter ended up green. 2 times, Q2 ended up red. In 2013, we had a red quarter, wasn't much, but in 2021, we had a 40% pullback there. So that was a pretty big pullback. And again, it's also situational. If we think back to what was going on in 2021 towards Q2, I think during that time was actually the China ban as well. During that time, Tesla pulled Bitcoin. You couldn't buy Teslas anymore with Bitcoin. So a lot of things were going on throughout that time. But just to give you guys an idea, you know, without getting into too many details, giving it an overview, twice, so it's 50% of the time we've retraced or we've pulled back or we've ended up in red in Q2 from the run up in Q1. So now I'm gonna first pull up the weekly chart here to look at where the resistance is currently and where the support is currently. Right off the bat, we can see the resistance clearly, right? We're currently at a resistance zone here. And if we go back in history, we can see that this was clearly a support back here in May of last year. If we continue back, we can see in 2021, again, it was a support. If we go back further to 2020, we can see again, a support. So what happens to support when it's broken? It becomes a resistance. And because it was such a strong support, that means that it's also going to be a pretty strong resistance. So we're going to need more than just a little bit of hype in order to break through this. We're going to need some more momentum. We're going to need a catalyst to really get through this level. Once we get through this level though, I think that we can run up possibly to this next level up here, which is around that $37,000, $38,000 area. But for right now, that's going to be a major resistance that we're going to be fighting here. You can see we've been here for 3 weeks already. As far as the supports go, we have a support sitting around that $25,000 area. Of course, 25,000, a big even number, right? Psychological support level that's played as a resistance and support various times if you look back. Another support right here sitting around the $22,000 area. This is a support that we were at previously earlier in February. And then further back from that, we have $20,000. Another big psychological number. It's a previous all-time high. So of course it's going to be a support. There's a lot of buying and selling going on there. Plus it's close to a Fibonacci retracement level there. So a lot of things going on there. And one more thing that I wanted to show you guys at that $20,000 level, we have a CME gap at $20,000. If you guys remember, earlier this year in January, we had this CME gap here, and everybody was talking about whether or not it was going to get closed or not, and it went on for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks without it being closed. On the 8th week though, guess what happened? That gap did get closed, and then we had a run all the way back up to where we're currently at right now, basically. So we have another CME gap, and it's sitting right around the same exact area as the last one, which is right around $20,000. However, we also have a CME gap to the upside. You can make arguments on both of these, right? Because there's a CME gap here at $36,000. And the interesting thing about this CME gap at $36,000, if again, we pull up the chart here, where's this next level at? Once we break above this resistance right here, this is sitting basically at $36,000, right? That's exactly where that CME gap is. Another thing that kind of gives that scenario some confluence, if we pull up this head and shoulders pattern, there's an inverse head and shoulders patterns. I've been talking about this for the last week or two. You can see the left shoulder, you can see the head, you can see the right shoulder, and then the breakout, right? This is the breakout area right here. So the way that you measure the target for a breakout is you measure the bottom of the head to the shoulders where the break is, right? So you can see that this shoulder is aligned with this shoulder. So when we broke above that, you can see that we got a big candle up. If you measure from the bottom of the head to the break here, that gives us our target, which it happens to also be $36,000. Now we have multiple different scenarios that are pointing at the same price point of $36,000, which is why I like to look at all these different things. In the daily time frame, because it's more immediate, you can see our price action here, and then this right here is the RSI. This is basically momentum, right? So you can see as the price was going up here, the momentum was also going up. But what's happened is as the price has continued to go up, momentum has dropped off. This is a bearish divergence. What usually happens in this scenario when the price is going up, the momentum is falling down, that usually leads to a short-term pullback. Once we pair that up with we're sitting at a strong resistance, that shows me that there is that possibility where we might see some sort of short-term pullback in the near future. And that pullback could be, back down to 25,000, which is the first support, could possibly be back to 22,000, or it might be to 20,000 where that CME gap is. There's no way to know exactly how far that pullback could be. And there's no way to know if that pullback will even happen, but that's just what the charts are currently showing me right now. We have a bearish divergence that usually means a pullback. We're also at a big resistance that usually means a pullback. Those are the two different things that I'm looking at as far as from the different scenarios. To end it on the bullish note, on the weekly time frame, we're seeing higher highs and higher lows for the first time since back in 2021 when we made our run to previous all-time highs. And again, this is a weekly time frame, so this is on a longer time scale. I think as the year progresses and plays out, we could continue to see these higher highs, which could lead to our target of $36,000, which is the next main target here. Now, as far as how I'm playing it this week, I'm shorting. Right now, I am short at resistance. Just go with what the price is saying. If there's resistance there, don't fight it. I'm grabbing short positions here in the red. Then as price goes down, I take a little bit of profit. When it goes back up into resistance, again, open up short. And I'm gonna keep doing this until we break $30,000. Because once we flip 30K, I think it's only a matter of time before we see $36,000 to $38,000. With everything currently going on in the market, a lot of things are going under the radar right now. Last week, I covered one of the biggest events happening this year in August, the Litecoin halving. Did you know that during Litecoin's first halving event in 2015, it went over 37,000%? And in 2019, during the second halving event, it went over 1,800%, both times hitting new all-time highs. History doesn't always repeat, but it often does rhyme. Litecoin is currently up over 130% from the bottom with more room to go up. So make sure to check out the in-depth analysis on how you can profit from the Litecoin halving this year by watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos just like this.